Welcome back to Live with Fern. Michael Brandon is with me this morning, and also relationship expert Francine Kaye has joined us. I'm going to speak to them both in a minute. Francine, thanks for coming. You're brilliant at unravelling our relationship problems, and I've got some headlines here which I think have been very interesting. The alleged story that Clive James managed to seduce a much younger lady, and so we're asking, in lust with brains, not beauty. Is that something that women go for?
I think women do go for brains. I think that they love to be stimulated intellectually, and they love to be made to laugh. And he's a witty person, so you are going to laugh with him. And on the other hand, there's a lot to be said for a man with a green drill who can do things under your sink. So...
Have you seen that film? Never mind.
Never mind. So yes, I mean, definitely, brains are very important.
Yes.
Brains are very important.
If you see somebody doing their job very well, it is an aphrodisiac, isn't it?
It is, because you admire them for doing something that you can't do yourself. And I think, I mean, I've read some research recently that women choose men with large brains because we are the people who are going to perpetuate the intellect of society. So women are going to be doing that, apparently. So that's why we choose men who are intellectually.
Michael's put his finger up.
Well, you know, how do you see a large brain? You know what I mean? You can see a large package.
Yes.
But I mean,
How
large.
do you see a large brain?
Yes.
I think it's just what you hear. I think, you know, you're on your first, second and third date, you're going to be listening for what that person's got to say about their life, their values, their morals, all of that kind of thing.
Humor. I appreciate humor. I think humor's a great thing.
Yeah, humour and emotional intelligence.
And emotional intelligence. And that's a very difficult one.
Yeah.
So that's why humour is much easier for men, because men find the emotion of fun and laughing an easy one to go to.
Well, that's all right.
Yes, so that
That'll
works, yeah.
Start with that, and you won't go wrong. There's a second headline saying, how open are you with your partner about your finances? This is to do with the child benefit changes, because if you're earning a certain amount of money, the child benefit will be taken away, and so people are going to have to, who've said they're skint, suddenly have to admit that actually they've got quite a lot of money coming in. So how honest should we be with our money? Should we all just stick it all in a big joint account, or are we allowed to have a little bit of running away money?
Well, I think that money is the most evocative emotion. It's an emotion. Money isn't actually even a tangible. It actually evokes so many emotions. So the joint account idea can be very scary for a lot of couples because they kind of lose control. You have to sit and communicate with your partner. You have to say whether you come from an abundance kind of attitude or you come from a scarcity type attitude. You have to know who's the saver, who's the spender, and work it out. And everybody's entitled to their own budget. So everybody's entitled to that amount of money that they can do whatever they want with. And then there is the money that you've got to be responsible for. You have to talk about money. It's absolutely imperative because it can ruin relationships.
Michael, what do you think? Do you and Glynis have a joint pot, or are you allowed to have separate accounts?
Well, if Glynis wants separate pots, she can have separate pots. I just throw it all in. I've had it, not had it, not had it. You know, it's like it can kill you, but it can also make you stronger. You know what I mean? It's having it, if it's used right, it's good to have a little pot somewhere. You know, when you have children, you have to take care of the future. You know, but
do men still feel that I am the provider and I have to put the roof over their heads and the food on the table?
Hunter.
Yes.
Yes, the hunter provider. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because I think for women, having spent a lot of history, it's only 100 years, not even quite that we've had the vote. For a long time, we didn't have the financial independence, and that's the key to a woman feeling safe enough to stay with somebody,
yes,
knowing you can go. Yes, you've got the choice.
I mean, and that's what money is all about as well. Money gives us choices. Money can indicate our standards of living. So money is all about choice. And if you perceive that somebody else is taking that choice away from you because they're in control of it, that's going to make you feel very uncomfortable. So it has changed a great deal because men and women now women could be bringing in even more money. I think that when you get to a stage, though, where you've got enough, where you really have enough money, it's not such a big deal.
But that's enough. Nobody, you know, what is enough?
What is enough?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's different for everybody.
Glynis is an independent woman.
Yes,
she has her own career.
Yep.
She's worked. She's always put her support into it. We've been equal that way. In times that I wouldn't work, she'd be working, or vice versa. So it's worked out okay for us in doing that.
Yeah.
And every couple has their own way of doing it, and that's why the communication, I think, is so important, and the level of trust between you.
Exactly.
And generosity.
Rather than secrets and
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
A generosity of spirit and information and all of those things,
Yes.
This is a funny one. The headline was, "How Poirot Can Save Your Marriage." This is in the paper today, that according to a new book, Marriage Rules, a manual for the married and coupled up. 100 different ways for relationships to change, written by a clinical psychologist and acclaimed author Dr. Harriet Lerner. There are 100 rules, she says, that can revamp your marriage. One of which is pretend you have a guest in the spare room.
So that you behave in a nice way towards each other, I'm guessing, and you're continuously respectful.
That's a good idea.
Yes, well, that's what I'm imagining.
The point of this is that most couples have more control over themselves than they think,
Yes.
and it only takes one person to keep the guest in mind to change the relationship.
But I think, one of my top tips is that people change and they forget to tell each other. So I think it's really, really important that as we evolve in a relationship, that we let each other know about the changes that we're going through. Different visions, different goals, different dreams, different worries, different concerns.
I think that's more of a woman thing. I don't think men really are that conscious of the overview of their change. You know, you're sort of like, you're grumpy, or you're mad, or you're this or that, and maybe you don't know why, and it was the meeting or this or that, whatever it may be. Women are more conscious of that, I think, than men are.
They are. But if, for example, you bring me roses every week, and then I say to you,
My wife would be very angry if I did that.
Well, she'd be angry. So I might say, I don't like roses very much either. But I might say to you, you always bring roses. Why can't you bring carnations? And you say to me, we've always liked roses. What's the problem? So if I'm changing and I don't tell you, I can almost build up a resentment for you, which is ridiculous. And all I've got to do is to tell you, so next week you'll bring carnations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it says here as well, we must say less, the 3-sentence rule. Many men say they don't like to talk. In truth, they're afraid of becoming trapped in a conversation that feels awful.
No. When you say we'd like to talk, we need to talk, it means I have to listen. You see, that's a trick.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a trick.
Okay.
You hear all the men here, right?
Yeah. We
And
get
men
it.
need to hear that, don't they? We need to talk.
Oh, yeah.
The fear of God.
Yeah.
What you should really be saying is, I'd like to talk to you later, darling, about money, or I want to talk to you about the children. If I head it up, if I give you a heading, you can go off and do your day. I'll make sure that we have the time a bit later. But they have a heading. If you leave a man with "we need to talk," he's like in a bad state all day long and probably quite grumpy when he gets home.
That's like when people leave a message on your answer phone saying, ring me. And you, why?
Oh my God.
And it makes me
Yes.
want, no, I'm not going to ring you. If you can't tell me what it is, I'm not going to bother.
Yes.
Yeah?
Either fear or it's going to be no, dig your heels in.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, men are just afraid of certain things. They don't have to be big things, but it's like, a woman just says, how do I look? That's a
Minefield.
trap. And I always fall into it.
there's an
Good.
answer for that.
Good.
Ask her how she thinks she looks. So, sweetheart, are you comfortable in that outfit? Do you feel good in that? And she says, yeah, I do. Lovely. I absolutely agree with you. Looks great.
How do you feel about what you're wearing?
Yeah.
You don't like it?
Well, I'm a bit so-so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's your response?
What else do
Your
you have?
response should be, you look $1 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. That's all you
Who
need.
was it who said, pick one thing and say, you know what, I'm not sure about those earrings or something like that. And it's like you're showing an involvement, you see, and then you get a choice. Well, that's how I get a choice.
Yeah. But what you just said is wonderful as well.
You
look
just say
fabulous.
you look fabulous. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Who can we call?
Yeah.
That's all
And
you
going
need.
back to just a few words.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've
Quickly,
noticed.
quick, 'cause I'm gonna miss the VT.
Quickly. Very few words for men. Say it as briefly as possible. Don't give them too much, and then they can digest it a whole lot more easily.
Okay. Hello?
Not
I love
too
you.
much.
Hello? Hello?
Keep it simple.
Put the bin out. There we go. Thank you both very much.